Hey everybody, my name is Alyssa Walkup and you are back here with Save the Storks for another reaction video. Let's get started. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Jubilee, and the title of this video is called Pro versus Anti-Abortion Teens. I love it whenever Jubilee comes out with new videos on different hot topics. This is a bit of a throwback, but you know, it's been within the year, so I'd love to take a look at it. I thought it was extremely fascinating. So let's get into it.
You are arguing for the slaughter of human beings because you're pro-choice. And I'm standing here in where
strong word.
Where a fetus cannot.
You said killing a fetus, so it's not a strong word.
It's really not. But could I just finish my statement?
Oof, quite the intro. It's gonna get heated, I can tell.
I have had an abortion.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be more than just two people.
I had mine about a year and a half ago. And I've never felt shame, never felt regret. I've never even second guessed my choice.
Wow. Look at how young both of these women are.
Surprisingly, my parents are Middle Eastern immigrants and they were very supportive. The 9 months of pregnancy isn't considered to be a challenge in its own. It's like, oh, you know, you can give the child up for adoption. Oh, there are like resources, there are crisis pregnancy centers. But those 9 months, that's still morning sickness. That's still doctor visits. I had to go to the ER.
Okay, out of all of the different cases that you could make to be pro-choice or pro-abortion, I'm shocked that she's using this one. I was uncomfortable for 9 months. I had to go through being uncomfortable, and so therefore someone else's life shouldn't be. Like, we should terminate the life of someone else. Like, no, sorry, but that's a horrible excuse. Like, she's not even saying, I don't think it was a life. If you're gonna have a reason to not believe in the sanctity of life, I should hope that it's something like, oh, I just don't understand yet that, like, it is a life. You know, a lot of people just don't understand, like, no, it's not a life. Like, I've seen photos and it looks like just a, you know, piece of tissue. And I'm like, yeah, well, those photos were, you know, the tissues around the embryo or the fetus or the preborn baby. But people are unfortunately misinformed.
In the very short time that it took me finding out that I was pregnant to getting the actual abortion, because I thought I had an ectopic pregnancy, because that's what my gynecologist told me. There are so many things to consider. I can't go to school if I'm sick, if I'm already, you know, mental health isn't something that's secure for me. And then on the top of that, I'm gonna have to deal with thinking about this pregnancy. Are people gonna judge me for being a teen mom?
Here's the thing. I can sympathize with her. I know people who start out incredibly pro-life and have a really hard circumstance in their pregnancy, and then they have to consider, like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd consider going to have an appointment at a Planned Parenthood, but here I am, this Christian pro-life woman, and I'm faced with this really tough decision. And a lot of times those women either don't go through with the abortion or they go through with it and they're like, I regret that. I regret that. And hear my story. I mean, we have people here on staff at Save the Storks, and they are absolute heroes. Absolute heroes. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to go through life and don't allow your story to be unsung, where you went through something so that other people, you know, have to go through the same things in order to realize at the end of the day, oh, that wasn't the best thing for me. No, like, let them know, hey, girl, I did that. And it didn't work out how I thought. But, you know, this girl's over here saying, like, I don't regret it.
Okay, so I had an abortion fairly recently. I had one about 2 to 3 days before my recent birthday last year in November. It was a very unexpected event. I remember having symptoms almost immediately. I was about 6 weeks, I believe, 5 weeks and 7 days. I actually did not suspect I was pregnant because I had been going through some traumatic life events that threw my cycle off. My period was on average 40 days late. So I just didn't suspect anything when I was 6 days late that past cycle.
Fair.
And my boyfriend, who I was confiding in at the time and telling about my current bodily circumstances, had a feeling beyond me, the woman in this equation who should know what's going on. He was the one that prompted me to go get a test because he felt that I was pregnant. And when we found out, it was a shock. I'm the type of person, when in my relationships, I make very clear my positions on how I am with abortion and pregnancy and child rearing. I'm very transparent in that matter because there should be no room for error in that case. But that's because I'm fortunate enough to be educated in that manner. I'm a volunteer with Planned Parenthood, so I knew.
I would hope that if you're pro-abortion and if you plan on having an abortion, if you were to get pregnant, I would hope that your spouse or your partner sees that same point of view. I can't imagine. I mean, even if they do, it's still such a tragedy. But can you imagine being a partner to a woman, like being that boyfriend, if he didn't agree and was like, no, I don't want you to get an abortion. She's like, well, too bad. It's my choice.
The resources available to me, and at that time, when I did conceive, it was not when I was on birth control. And so partially, I take responsibility for the circumstances that led to the conception.
Okay. Takes two to tango. So I get the partially thing. Like, it was partially someone else. But both of y'all had knowledge of that you were not doing anything to prevent getting pregnant. You worked at Planned Parenthood. You volunteered at Planned Parenthood. Man, they really teaching y'all something over there. They really teaching y'all.
Of that pregnancy, although I'm very grateful and I'm very appreciative that I had access to this form of healthcare, it was something that I grieved heavily. It was something that my boyfriend grieved heavily. We were not ecstatic to have done this. We were not happy that we had to make this choice. But because of our plans.
But why? Why were you not happy that you had to do that? It eats me up inside that I'm like, why did you then? Like, if you and your boyfriend were like, we don't want to do this, you didn't have to. But listen to this. This is why. Because of dreams and plans and we want to do it later in life. Again, like, we're just prioritizing the wrong things.
As individuals, as adults, and our life plan is to get married, is to complete school, and to maximize our chances of being the parents that we want to be.
Those are great goals. Just saying that you can do that with a baby. I know people who do it. I think you probably do too. Women are proving people wrong left and right. They do it married and not married.
Felt it irresponsible to be selfish and say, well, I want a baby and I don't want to make that hard choice to terminate. But when you think of somebody else, and that would have been another individual, you have to think what's best for them if they were to be born. And I'm not in a position to where I could emotionally, financially, nor physically provide for a child. Where
that is the biggest lie that the pro-abortion movement tells women. If you don't have an abortion, could be selfish. Because think about them later on. Are you really where you want to be when you're going to become a mom or whenever you're going to become a dad?
As if I would do the hard thing now, later on down the line, when I improve my circumstances, I can be the mother that I want to be instead of disadvantaging myself and that person who did not ask to be put in that situation.
She's so sweet. She's so kind, and she has been lied to. Women have been lied to. This is not true. It is not selfish of you to have your baby, to give your baby the gift of life. It is not selfish for you in any circumstances, and I don't want anyone to tell you different. No one should tell you that it is selfish to have a baby. No, absolutely not.
I commend you for coming in front of like a camera and saying that.
Yeah, because she's real.
My parents don't even know either.
Yeah, mine don't either. I need to figure out a way to tell them. I'm just going to block Jubilee from their YouTube.
That's another issue.